Let's discuss the fourth federal-level stimulus checks, what Congress recently passed that directly affects stimulus funding, and what's important about this. Tell me in the comments if you are aware of this. The majority of individuals are unaware of the remaining stimulus funding. They are aware that 3 federal-level stimulus checks were sent, which is true, but they are unaware that Congress did not fully use the stimulus monies. In actuality, there were literally hundreds of billions of cash hanging around unutilized. While Congress handled these monies during the debt limit debates, you may not have realized this, or may have forgotten. Welcome to Updates Area channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. A few days ago, the debt limit agreement was ratified by President Joe Biden, preventing a historic default. Now that we know what was in the law, I'll go into more depth about what was said in the 99-page measure to raise the debt limit and reduce government spending for you. This was, look at this debt limit measure, which eliminates over $30 billion in COVID-19 stimulus money, also known as pandemic relief monies, that were intended to aid Americans. They're saying, listen, all of these funds are still there, just sitting there. We're going to take it back since we don't really believe anybody will need it. I'm going to tell you how much is still available, which is practically enough to send out some of the past stimulus checks that we have seen. Let me know in the comments whether you agree or disagree. Public health concerns are now being raised by COVID-19 clawbacks and the debt limit agreement, since many people are arguing that we shouldn't be taking these payments back. In the event of an emergency or other situation when we need to assist others, we should still keep them on hand. As you all know, I have been monitoring this via the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget's website from the beginning of the epidemic. I'll go into great length here about how much money is available and what we might do with it. Please share your opinions in the comments section below. Increases to Social Security, stimulus payments, child tax credits, and a variety of other measures and actions that we may take with this money to directly benefit the American people are all possible. It was purposefully set aside for that purpose. They are now claiming that nobody really needs it. Inflation is now reaching very record levels at the same time, not before this high. So they're arguing that maybe if we claw it back, it could assist us with our debt problem. Please share your opinions with me. Do you believe that since the emergency is over, we should put the pandemic behind us, take those money back, and work to restart our economy? Or should they use this money, which is actually lying around already allotted but unutilized because it has been sent elsewhere, to fulfill its intended purpose of aiding the American people? Tell me what you think. We've kind of gone beyond the epidemic, but the economy still looks to be in a mess, which makes for an unusual scenario. Please share your opinions in the comments section below. So let's get started straight now. I'll catch you up on the most recent piece and explain how some were pushed back. Of these resources, you may get a better understanding of what might be done with this money by hearing how much money is still available and seeing the format of the earlier stimulus checks that were sent to everyone in the country. Additionally, if you enjoy the updates, please do me a favor and hit the like button for me before we continue. It just takes a moment. I really appreciate it. I'll keep you informed of anything that happens for free if you wish to remain current. Turn on the notification bell by clicking the subscribe button. And feel free to click the join option to join the channel if you want direct access to me and more individualized information that you especially require. But now that everything is out of the way, folks, let's get right into this piece and the specifics of the stimulus funding, as well as what recently happened in Congress about the debt limit talks and stimulus. In addition, they might improve Social Security, so be sure to read all the way through. Additionally, there are now new laws being introduced that have the potential to raise taxes, expand benefits, and overhaul the whole Social Security program. I'll provide you additional information about that as well. This is one of the stories concerning COVID clawbacks that has recently been published. Public health advocacy organizations are raising concerns about a clause in the debt limit agreement that allows for the recovery of nearly $27 billion in unapplied pandemic relief funds, claiming that this might have an impact on government public health activities. Unspent Republicans have long sought to cut off funding for COVID-19, so Speaker Kevin McCarthy gains political advantage by getting part of that money back. As of this writing, the federal COVID-19 public health emergency has expired. So, the public health emergency was just halted, and President Biden had said he was amenable to a settlement that included rescinding funds for the coronavirus. The ultimate debt ceiling increase bill, approved by the House on a bipartisan basis on Wednesday by a vote of 314 to 117, then advanced to the Senate, where it was approved before being signed into law over the weekend by President Joe Biden. The White House has announced that part of the remaining funds would now be utilized to support non-defense expenditures. Shalonda Young, director of the White House Office of Management and Budget, indicated that the appropriators would distribute part of that money as they see appropriate. Individual line items in this measure were not discussed in detail. In other words, they are claiming to be returning the money. They want to use it for other purposes. Even the intended usage has not been disclosed yet. The bulk of the cuts, according to the Congressional Budget Office, CBO, would be made to the Public Health and Social Services Emergency Fund, which is again intended to aid the American people, as well as to several infrastructure and disaster relief programs. Congress allocated approximately $5 trillion to different programs and organizations throughout the epidemic. Here, I'll share the whole with you, including the Department of Health and Human Services, the Small Business Administration, the Department of Veteran Affairs, the Department of Transportation, and, you'll recall, the PPP programs, the EIDL awards. The total is really $6 trillion. For programs like vaccine effectiveness and supply chain monitoring, Congress would recoup more than $13 billion from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Food and Drug Administration, and other organizations throughout HHS. Now, the monies remained unutilized for a number of a report sent by the White House, and acquired by the Hill lists the explanations. There was no longer a need for certain programs since others, including the stimulus checks, child tax credits, and unemployment payments, had come to an end. They are essentially saying, listen, people don't need the money. Please share your opinions in the comments section below. Okay, let's look at the COVID money tracker itself so you can see it for yourself. Additionally, as I previously said, so you may look it over if you want, you can see how it breaks down every expenditure made using COVID funds that have been allocated and distributed. The amount that Congress put aside is now shown by the legislative action in orange. The stimulus packages are this. Approximately $6 trillion was put aside, of which $5.7 trillion has been used as of this writing, and this was $5.60 only a week ago. In other words, more than $400 billion was still available. With these clawbacks, it has now been estimated that there are $300 billion in unclaimed money. The bulk of it has already been used, but $300 billion is still lying there. What might be done with $300 billion now? You may view all of the allocations if you scroll down here to see the breakdown from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget on the COVID money tracker. And as you can see, direct payments, also known as stimulus checks or economic impact payments, have been made possible by legislative action. If we click the plus sign, you can see that the 3 stimulus checks totaling $860 billion have been spent during the course of the epidemic. The third stimulus payment, which was worth $1,400 for each person and their dependents, cost almost $418 billion. The first $1,200 per person stimulus payment cost $276 billion. As you can see, the second stimulus payment of $600 to people and dependents came with a $165 billion price tag. With the remaining cash, the first and second stimulus check prices remain a possibility. However, they are now taking it back and claiming that it is essentially no longer necessary. Please share your opinions in the comments section below. I'll be sure to update you folks on the channel when additional information about stimulus checks becomes available. As you are all aware, new state, municipal, and county level programs are constantly being launched around the nation. I just learned about one last night. In addition, Social Security reform is now gaining attention, and people are hoping to hear more about it. The child tax credits are still being pushed, despite reports that 2023 will be the year of Social Security reform. We can expect to see for the most recent information on Social Security reform and the Social Security 2100 Act, which is a new bill that has been reintroduced, is gaining traction in Congress and will reform everything. Check out video on channel. I'll see you in next one. Bye.